Hey, what's up, guys? This is Anthony Anthem, aka Black Fabio, aka the Midnight Marauder, aka Mr. AKA. And with that, we have a special guest today. Would you like to state your name, sir?
Sure, my name is Cornelius J. Maxwell.
Well, hello, Mr. Maxwell. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and yourself? How are you?
Man, I woke up this morning. I cannot complain.
I heard that. Matter of fact, I met someone a couple of days ago, and he said, he asked me how's I doing. I said I'm doing great. I can't complain. And I asked him how's he doing, and he said that today he woke up looking down at the grass instead of looking up and seeing the roots of the grass. So it's a good day as long as he's not looking up at roots.
I hear that,
So,
man.
hmm so
So, yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself, Mr. Maxwell.
okay.
What can we, huh?
Okay. Well, first of all, let's say thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate your audience for listening to me. To get more depth about my background, my bio, I'm a United States Army veteran. I'm an entrepreneur. Um, I'm a student. I've studied and I went to college, graduated from college, and currently I'm in the process of working on a bill that helps veterans, helps decrease their PTSD suicide rates, their unemployment, and decrease the homelessness. Also increases entrepreneurship for veterans and increases the opportunities for veterans to earn their benefits that they so rightfully deserve.
I love it. I'm already liking this. Like, so you are definitely out for your brothers and sisters in arms. It's
Correct.
so you're fighting for them, and I respect that because as I've said before on the show, both of my parents were both military. My father served in Desert Storm. My mom was part of the Marine Corps um, from '83 all the way till 1991 after the ground war ended,
Mhm.
and my father got out a little bit later after that. Um, well, if it wasn't for the military, I would not be here.
Mhm.
I was born in 29 Palms, California.
Okay.
Yeah,
The desert.
the desert.
Yeah,
What
that's the
everybody
desert.
calls 29 stumps.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, and think I'm an Army brat myself. My dad's retired Army as well, and I was born in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. In which the same day that I was born, my dad had a softball game, and so after I was born, he went played in the softball game and hit a home run. So it made it on the Post newspaper that said Staff Sergeant Maxwell hit a home run in honor of his newborn son.
That's awesome.
uh,
That's one of those things you see in the movies, man.
yeah.
It's like, I'm going to go hit this home run for you, son. I'll be right back.
That's right. Welcome to the world.
So I sent something flying. Now it's time for you to soar high, son.
That's right. He had set the bar.
Coming to AMC Classic soon. The Maxwell story. Okay. I'm sorry. I know I'm a dork for that one.
Oh, that was pretty funny. That's a great way to start the movie. Wow, wow. Oh, it's gone. Oh,
And this was the birth of a soldier. The
yeah. That's
birth
right.
of a man trying to make a difference. The Cornelius Maxwell story.
That's right. I
Guest
like it.
starring the guy from The Blind Side that looks like Anthony Anthem, who's doing this
Uh,
podcast.
well, I'm gonna have Michael B. Jordan play me then.
Oh, oh, we're gonna go that far. Okay, okay. So you want Michael B. Jordan? You, you know what? I mean, hey, you're gonna get anybody Michael B. Jordan to be that guy. You know what? Then I want Chadwick Boseman. I want Chadwick Boseman. Then that's what I want. I want Chadwick Boseman to play me.
Uh-huh. I got the guy from Creed.
I got Black Panther. That's pretty much Black
oh,
Panther 2 on a podcast.
oh yeah, oh King T'Challa.
And Killmonger. Wakanda forever. We do not know.
Oh yeah, it's too funny.
I'm sorry. Dude, I like to make sure we laugh a little on this podcast too.
Oh
So
yeah.
well, I'm glad you got a good sense of humor. So this is going to be quite the ride for the next while. So,
And that's what you want to do on podcasts. You want to make them entertaining but yet informative. So I
yeah.
truly agree.
All right. So you were in the military, correct?
Correct.
How long were you? What branch were you in, and how long were you in the military concert?
Okay, well, I was in the United States Army and I served 8 years. 7 of those years were active duty and 1 year was in the reserves.
I mean, what was it like for you, like serving our country? I mean, I know that it had some hardships.
Personally, for me, I feel like it was a part of my destiny. I felt like at that time period in my life, I belonged where I was at. And I felt like I had a calling to be there where I was at. I tell people that I believe it was one of the best decisions I've made in my adult life. It surrounded me around people who taught me things beside my parents. My parents have been married for 41 years now. And so they taught me a lot of good things and had me around a lot of good influences because, they raised us in church. My dad's a minister, my mother's an evangelist missionary. So they had us around good influences. But there comes a time period in a young man's life where he has to go out and develop his own identity, away from his parents. He had to go and identify his own niche and his own character as a man, you know. And I feel like the military did that for me. I met a lot of people who thought there was something about me, and it's one thing when your parents say, but then and people you grow up around, but it's people who are strangers to you, just don't know you from a can of paint, just walk up to you and say, I don't know what it is, but there's something about you, and they took a special interest in me, and so. And those guys would turn out to be guys who were my sergeants and stuff like that. And I can see how they spent extra time mentoring me, and they would take the time to do so. And so I learned a lot because I was willing to accept mentorship from people who were older than me and more experienced than me. And so in the military, so I learned a lot of leadership skills. I learned leadership growing up, but I was able to exercise it through the military more or less than I would have in the civilian world. And so I feel like it groomed me more or less uh, to handle high stress environments while still maintaining the role of a leader.
Wow, sounds like you were definitely given a lot of gems um, when um, when you were in the service, and it sounds like a lot of people saw a lot of things in you probably didn't see yourself,
Mhm.
which that's awesome though because one thing my mom even told me from her time serving is it brings out the person you never thought you could be.
Mhm.
And that's one thing I respect about it is it can it can lead to being something that could be used in real life, like regular life skills.
Mhm.
Yeah, my mom always told me, like, if it wasn't for the Marines, I don't think I would have been able to handle raising you two by myself.
Mhm.
So I can only imagine how you've had to apply it in your life. Do you feel like,
Uh,
with the knowledge you've been given in the military, do you think that's one of the reasons why you kind of pushed the current situation in your life to make more happen when it comes to our veterans and anybody that is in need in the military? Do you feel like that was one of your motivations? Is the fact of what they've given to you? You wanted to give back?
it's a variety of things that makes me the man that I am today. One being my upbringing. Like I said, my parents raised us in church, and so I've always tend to lean on that. The teaching, and I always fall back on that teaching. It's what's in me, and so I think that has a part of doing with it because I remember praying and I remember asking God, well, um, I want to be able to help people, and how can I help them, and what ways can I do so? And so I remember seeing, studying, and I studied on Abraham. And Abraham, if you know his story, Well, he became the father of as many descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. And so that's something about that appealed to me, about him being the father and having that many descendants. And when it appealed to me, I said, I want to be able to help as many people as numerous as the stars in the sky. And so with the skills I learned in the military, they helped me develop my leadership qualities and leadership teaching, which I used in the civilian world. But then when I left the military, I went and got my bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Houston downtown. Then
Wow.
I also, yes, sir. And then also I got an associate's degree working in automotives, and I completed a executive MBA fellowship in entrepreneurship at UCLA. And so I took all those strengths together with my upbringing, with my education, my military background, and it just came to me as I was praying. It was saying, how about helping the vets? And this is how you go about doing it through transition units, transition units theory. And that's the concept that I've been pushing out since 2017 to help the veterans and things of that nature because it shaped me and it shaped and it grew in me in my adult life where I started developing my own niche and my character according to the military principles. And I take that with pride and with honor. And I feel blessed. And I feel blessed that I've had the honor to have served my nation on 3 combat deployments. Because on each deployment, I learned a lot. So it really helped me. Like I said, groom those. And I remember there was this guy, he passed away a few years ago. His name is Command Sergeant Major Elijah King. And when I first got into my unit out of basic training, my unit was supposed to go to the field 2 days later when I showed up. I haven't even been issued my gear yet. And
Wow.
Sergeant Major King was like, "Look here, Private Maxwell, you've been here. We're gonna be here for 2 days. We have orders to go to Iraq. You're just fresh out of basic training. We're gonna be in the field for a month, but you're gonna stay behind. Don't make me regret it." And so after that, after that month, when they came back, he seen me again. He said, "Hey Maxwell, come here real quick." I said, "What's going on, Sergeant Major?" And he said, "I've never seen this before in all my years in the military." And by the time I think he had like 25 years in.
Wow.
And and I said, "What's going on, Sergeant Major?" He said, "You've been recommended for an award for leadership as a brand new private within your first month in your
Wow.
first unit." Yes.
The first
And-
month.
yes. And so he said, "I'm going to push it because of the things that I heard about you. I'm going to authorize it to go through." And I want to let you know that I'm proud of you for not, for stepping up, and you continue with that for the rest of your life. Continue that mentality. And so, like I said, he passed away a few years ago. I believe he had a heart attack. And and these are the type of stories and type of people I met throughout my career, where people who were influential and inspiring. They look to enhance your skills to become leaders, and they look to find your niche, and they help you nurture it. They help you nurture it and grow it and develop it. And that's one thing I do say I loved about the military. I love that about the military.
So sounds like the military really pushed you to be a very strong and self-sufficient man. But I mean, let's say you got 3 different degrees. Let's say you you went up a huge ranking within the first month of post boot camp.
Mhm.
Like, man, I mean, I want to just say this in layman terms: you're a bad man, Mr. Maxwell. Like, I
Well, I
mean, seriously.
appreciate it. Oh yes, well I appreciate it. Like I said, it's just I just put in my best effort, and like I said, I pray about things before I maneuver, and I ask God to give me strength, wisdom, and intelligence. And a lot of times, my success, that's what exactly where my success comes from. And my failures or things where I fell short was when I got away from that mentality. So as long as I stayed in that mentality, it's like the more I embrace God's calling for me, it's like the more I start to understand the wisdom in the anointing of my destiny. And so that's how I feel right now, is that I'm really starting to embrace the anointing of my destiny that has been prepared for me since before my birth.
That's, I can dig it. Because, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, I think we all have a purpose on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes God speaks to us in ways that have no bounds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say this from a person that was raised in church myself. I mean, my grandfather was a pastor for like 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of understand, like, having, the morale and things that have been instilled in me as well. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
come from a family of strong people. So it's always good to hear like another person's side of the story too when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's definitely something enlightening. So with this program that you're doing, how long has the program been around?
But it hasn't been around yet. It's a concept
Okay, it's a
that
concept. Okay.
correct, and it's in the process of being presented as a bill in the state of Arizona. I pitched it at the Arizona Military and Veterans Committee on March 25th of this year, 2019. They loved the idea. I showed in the presentation that, you know, that the DoD had did a case study with over a million enlisted personnel, and 80% of those guys had a high school diploma. 10% has an associate's, and 7% have a bachelor's degree. So you're looking at the largest portion of your personnel. These guys are enlisted, and these guys get out on voluntary terms, so they don't do the full 20-year service. So
Mm,
this is your bulk of people leaving the military, and yet when they come into the civilian world, they don't have the credibility to get good paying jobs, because you want a decent paying job, you usually need to have some sort of degree backing you. So these guys don't have degrees backing them. A lot of times these guys have the work experience, but they don't have the actual technical certification. And so what I'm proposing through my program, we provide these guys the opportunity to do so with the transition units theory bill. And like I said, this bill is being pushed around for January 2020 in the state of Arizona at their house. So we're
understand.
hoping that it passes, and then we hope it passes at the Senate, and of course at the governor's level, so that way we can help these vets. We also want to have the military involved, and I want to reach out to some generals and some secretary of staff, secretary, and stuff like that, secretary, cabinet members, and we want to ensure that we can do what's best for our vets. Because at the end of the day, vets sacrifice eye, limb, and eyesight, life, limb, and eyesight, for the sake of the country and to protect country and for opportunities that this country provides for us. So,
True.
I believe that it's fair that we provide these guys the same opportunities to where, they can leverage their skills into a civilian market, because they have systems now in place that do these things, but the issue is they're still a part of the military unit. And so since they're still a part of the military unit, they're still held accountable for military accountability for their responsibilities. Well, that becomes an issue because I shared in a presentation, I shared in some previous podcasts and speeches where it creates a barrier in language, and it's something as simple as two words, too easy. As say me and you were talking, Anthony,
Yes.
and let's say you're the sergeant and I'm the private, and you say, "Hey, Private Maxwell, can you go sweep over there, or can you go to the range and hit 20 out of 25 targets?" And I would say, "Too easy, son. I can do this. I got it. It's too easy." Well, in the military, that's smiled upon. You get a thumbs up. It's like, "That's what I'm talking about, young soldier. Go make it happen." Well, but in the civilian world, people look at you a little different. And they start to give you that side eye, and they start to think that you're arrogant. And well, they don't want to do business with someone who's too arrogant because they feel like they can't tell you nothing. And in all actuality, in the military, the term too easy means I'm acceptable to being taught things, and I'm willing to take what you taught me and exercise them with confidence. So it's something as simple as being a part of the military unit and using those two words creates a huge language barrier between the brand new veteran and the civilian market.
Mm. I will say that one of the things that I, f- I feel like it should be something like too easy. I mean, I feel like if anything, that comes off as confidence. And people are afraid to show confidence in this day and age. Like, honest confidence, and then it seems like people get judged way too easily when they express their confidence. Like, hey, yes, I can do this. Not, I might be okay at it. Like, that right there just shows, like, that you think possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
So, I respect that. I respect that a lot. You seem like a very determined man. You got a lot of ambition. I see, like, just burning with vigor, pretty much.
Yes, sir. I mean, I believe that as men, people in general, but as men, I believe that we should abide by four principles. The first one is we should have a purpose, and our purpose, like I said, being a Christian, a baptized, born again Christian, I believe that God provides us purpose, and in doing so, I believe that purpose provides our code of ethics, our morals, and is our mission for life. So that's the
Yeah.
first principle. And then the second principle is the work we do. If we do the work in accordance to our principles, that shows your discipline and your character. And so the third principle is financial, because now if you're have your code of your destiny, your purpose, you're doing the work according to your destiny, your purpose. Now, when you look at the financial side, which is the third principle, is just support. Finance is what money is influence and it's a resource. So now you have supporters involving their influence and their resources towards your purpose, towards the work that you've been doing in accordance to your mission. And then the fourth principle is emotion. That's when you can be happy. And I base it upon several biblical scriptures. The first one is, how the Bible says you prosper as your soul prosper. And so that's where I got that concept from. You prosper as your soul prosper. And then I look at it as in the book of Genesis when after they say, well, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Well, in the end, he said, it is good, which showed his happiness at the end, not while he was working. And so that's where I developed those four principles from. Just pretty much just having a purpose, doing the work of that purpose, getting support for the work of the purpose, and being happy that you were able to live a purposeful fulfilled life.
Wow. Wow. I can definitely respect that. And I like the fact that you have those principles. So, do you, I take it that you want to be able to assist other people with these principles? You want to be able to kind of give them the knowledge towards your kind of your policy in life?
Correct. I actually do motivational speaking and inspirational
Hmm.
speaking, leadership speaking. I do those, and I do that at conferences and workshops and different events like that. And so that's part of one of my entrepreneurial venues. And so I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing how people leave enthusiastic and inspired about life, and it inspires me. And I truly feel blessed because God has blessed me being in the position where I can do these things and I can impact people's lives and inspire people's lives. It's a blessing to see, how people turn around from certain scenarios. So,
Okay, I like that. I'm sorry, I'm enjoying everything you're saying. I'm not just being like repetitive, like yeah, 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 yeah. No, literally, I'm enjoying what you're saying.
good,
I,
good. Well, I appreciate it.
like seriously, like you haven't said anything that I dislike or distaste. Like for me, I like going back to what I said earlier. Like I always felt like people will have a purpose, whether it's people that you meet or within yourself. There's always something that you can learn from the experience or learn from even like the teachings of whether you're a Christian or a person who is in that spiritual realm. Like sometimes I feel like those are the keys to giving people basic knowledge I mean, let's see, was it basic instructions before leaving the earth? Is the term I've heard. People use abbreviation for the Bible. And with those instructions, you can take and use it towards your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact is, I see that you're trying to abide by these instructions. Like, okay, because you can learn from every story in there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
every story in there has a purpose and can be a key to a lot of people's success in life, or just
Mm-hmm.
how to handle certain problems and missteps.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I've always dug about that, about that in general. If it
Yeah,
makes any sense. So,
it does.
so that's why for me, I always keep an open mind to like everybody's beliefs, and because you never know what you're gonna get. I've had talks with spiritual people throughout the last couple years. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
folks from Christianity to like the Muslim faith to Buddhism. I've had talks with a lot of people over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing I've learned from it is this is this is also a point of guidance,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously God speaks to people in different ways. That's one thing I've learned,
Mm-hmm.
because I am a true believer. I believe in God. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I, I think everybody speaks. Everybody has an opportunity to get knowledge from Him, just in different ways. That's just how I feel. I can't really
Okay.
say it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, like, but it's great that you have that, because some people don't,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I think that's an important part of everything.
Yes, I agree. I believe
Because
that everyone should have some sort of guidance, and and like I said, for me, like I said, we all have free will. You know, you talked about the different religions, and like I said, we all have free will to make a choice. And
yes,
like I said, and I've made my choice. And everyone's going to make their choice. But like I said, in all, we're still a work in progress, and so
oh,
we're constantly growing and developing and maturing. And as we mature, there should be signs of change and maturity. As you mature, there should be something different about the way you talk, or things of that nature. So because now you can see the maturity, because what a man think is, so is he, and the treasures of a man's heart, his mouth speaks. So the more you become, you know, in the stronger in beliefs, you start to speak on these things more because they're jewels in your heart. And of
yes,
course,
sir.
everyone takes value into those things that they are finding valuable. And so, that's something that I strongly believe. And like I said, it's helped shape me in ways that I couldn't even imagine. And so, but then that's how
Mm,
God works too. And I look at the story like Moses, and
yeah,
how, God isolated him when he was in the wilderness and shaped him the way he thought he needed him to be. And the whole time Moses was saying, "Why me? Why pick me? My brother Aaron is a great speaker." And Moses stuttered, and he had a speech impediment.
right.
And and God told him, "Was I didn't choose Aaron. I chose you."
Mr. Maxwell, can I ask you something? By any chance, do you know my mother? Because you have basically said all the things she has said to me over the years, like
uh,
within that last paragraph of of sentences.
yeah.
Literally, from the soul man thinking soul man is all the way to just now.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Like seriously, my mom gets on me about that too, because sometimes I be
Uh-huh.
thinking negative, and then she comes in with that, and I'm like, oh, you're right. Like
Don't feel bad.
everything you just
I've been
said right
very
now, I just had like a quick flashback.
Trust me, my mama tells me every day. Matter of fact, she has a saying she tells even before we get off the phone. She'll say, "Take the Lord with you everywhere you go." Now we can hang up the phone. You cannot hang up the phone until she lets you know, "Take the Lord with you everywhere you go." And so um, it's funny because as kids, as a child, I would listen to it, I would take it in, but then sometimes I would still reject it. I would say, "Well, I don't want to be that in depth. I want the knowledge and how I want to understand it, the principles and meanings, but to actually apply it with some things I just wasn't matured mentally where I wanted to apply. And as I'm getting older, the more I start to apply, that's why I stated that the more I embrace it, the more I start to understand the wisdom and the anointing of my destiny. It's because now the more I start embracing that, alongside with what I've been taught, is like doors are just opening for me, and it's just out of nowhere. Like random people is just say, "Hey, I heard about you, or I seen what you're doing. Let me introduce you to this person, or let me introduce you to that person, or here's this opportunity that might be really good for you." And it's just like just out of nowhere. So, and like I said, that's destiny when doors are opening when you don't even see the angle which they're coming from. So,
I will say this, like, so here's the thing about the word faith, man. And
mhm,
I feel like people don't have enough in it because
mhm,
people fear faith.
mhm,
It's it's probably the biggest leap you can make in life, in anything.
mhm,
Whether it's faith in a God, faith in yourself, faith in marriage, anything. Like,
yeah,
I feel like faith is always that big giant leap
mhm,
that people try to make,
mhm,
and they fear it. Sometimes you have to take that leap of faith
mhm,
and just let it happen, be amongst it.
yeah. Well, I understand
Uh,
according to my teaching is fear is the opposite of love. So, how can you say you love yourself when you live in fear? And that goes to show you can't let fear stop you from faith, because now what is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You see that, let's look at business, entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I can go in and say, I have no leads. I have no regular customer base. I don't have a product or a service. I don't have a team for marketing. I don't have all these things. But yet I'm come from nothing. All I have is this little bit of faith. And I'm just going to go ahead on and step out and say, I'm going to believe I'll make this idea work, you know, and then grow it. And that's why they say the greatest entrepreneurs are the ones who start off with nothing, because you learn to leverage every little thing. You don't come in with someone saying, "Hey, here's $50,000, here's $1 million." No, you say, "I'm penny pinching until I get to 50,000. I'm penny pinching until I get 100,000. I'm penny pinching until I get to 1 million." You know, and so, and that's all it is just the exercising of faith. You may exercise faith in business, but then at the same time is that's how we look at spirituality, is to exercise faith like an entrepreneur does in business. And like I said, that's just my upbringing, the way I was teaching and my understanding about faith. And I look at it even in combat. I had to have faith with people who I hadn't known all my life, and I had to trust them to go to war with and to go to combat. And I trust them
Understandable.
with my lives. And a lot of those guys I still talk to today. And some of those guys, we come from different backgrounds, different walks of life. Different races, different cultures, different ethnicities, and we came together under one common goal, and we were successful under that common goal. And that is,
Um,
and that's crucial, because again, that's also faith. You having faith in strangers who now, because of certain circumstances, have become brothers and lifelong friends.
and that's beautiful right there in itself. Um, with that, we need to take a quick break. Um, we'll be right back after this. Hey, we're back, guys. Sorry about that. Um, with that, we have of course with us Mr. Cornelius Maxwell, military veteran, uh, well educated with 3 different degrees, and of course just all in general a well-rounded individual trying to do what he can to give back for the to the world with his program for the vets. So, sir,
Hmm.
now that we have spoken a little bit on that from our from the previous topic, so what does the future hold for you?
The future holds many things. I want to get into the realm of advocating for people with special needs uh, because my older brother, he has autism. And so I spent my childhood, like I said, he's my older brother. So I spent my entire life, dealing with people with those who are unique and original. I don't believe that people have disorders or disabilities. I believe that God makes us each unique and original in our own way, in accordance to our own purpose. And I come to that conclusion because back in '96, my mother was in a car accident. And she had 3 slip discs in the back of her neck, and those discs were sitting on her nerves. And the long story short, they were saying that she was supposed to end up paralyzed from the neck down, or, if they did the surgery or something, those things of that nature, or she can just suffer the rest of her life, in that constant pain. And God used my brother in this scenario where for some reason he became intrigued by the swelling in the back of her neck. And he just started rubbing it, and he'd just rub it. And then one day he kissed on the forehead and he just pushed on the back of her neck.
Hmm.
And and my mother hit the ground. You can hear a loud thump, and then you can hear her just scream at the top of the lung in pain. And she was on the floor trembling and just crying. And my brother just ran off laughing, and we got mad at him, and we was yelling at him like, "Man, don't do that. That's mama. She hurt." And we wanted to make him understand. And the more we yelled at him, the more he laughed.
Hmm.
And and so he did that about 6 or 7 times. And then after that, we noticed that the swelling in her neck started going down. And
Hmm.
yes, and we noticed that she was able to turn her head without having to turn her shoulders. And we and so my dad took my mother to the hospital, and we had an MRI done, and he said that all 3 discs had been pushed back in place as if nothing had ever happened in the first place. So I say that from that story, God utilizes people in His own way, and that goes back to the story of Moses when he was saying how he had the speech impediment, and yet God said, "I chose you, not your brother." And so since God used my brother, and that's world class medical surgery without having to tear the flesh open and put it right back in place. Because the whole time my mother was suffering, she would always say, "For God I live, for God I die. I'm not going to change my opinion no matter what." And so that was her faith, and she exercised her faith. And this is how God opened doors. He used my brother, who he couldn't speak. He doesn't have the skills to speak. He doesn't speak. He doesn't sense danger and things of that nature. So, and he was real athletic. He'll take off running. Like, we try to go somewhere in the car, he'll take off running and you couldn't catch him. And so, matter of fact, he was so fast. I believe one time my mother and I got in the car and he was skipping at 45 miles an hour while we're going side by side with him. And I remember looking at the speedometer, seeing 45 miles an hour. And it was just, I was like, wow. And so a lot of times he'll just dart off and you're not going to catch him. And, it's times where we almost got hit by cars, like hundreds of times. We almost got hit by cars trying to make sure he doesn't hit because he didn't sense the danger and stuff like that. So I really want to help people with special needs because I want to help them sharpen those skills that they do have because they're skills that they have that we just have to learn how to nurture and mature and develop those skills,
Indeed.
because at the end of the day, is God uses all, you know, um, and who are we to say you lack skills or you lack talent, you lack ability when God can use anybody? And so, since I saw that growing up, it it solidifies my belief. because I've seen that type of miracle, which most people say that's not. I think I seen a video where a guy was saying miracles are not normative today. And I say that's not true because I've seen it with my own eyes, and I've seen it through my mother's exercising of faith. And so he'll say that miracles are not normative today is because he lacked the faith for miracles to be normative for him. And so, because again, a little bit of faith can move mountains. And that's what we've seen because the doctor said she was supposed to be paralyzed from the neck down. And I initially pushed the concept, the transition units theory concept to help the veterans at my mother's art exhibition. She was supposed to no longer paint, and now she's an internationally known artist for her artwork. And this is a woman who's not supposed to be able, who's supposed to be paralyzed from the neck down. So the fact that she's an internationally recognized artist now is another miracle. So,
Wow, that's right there. I think that's something people should definitely kind of take in because you know what's crazy. Okay, so I feel here's something that a gentleman talked to me about yesterday. He's a psychic.
mhm,
He believes in God, of course, and everything. And I do believe with faith, it brings out something in somebody. He said his faith brought out his ability to, you know, help others with his ability.
mhm,
What you just said about your mother and everything just leading to her making a recovery from her slip disc.
mhm,
I mean, I mean that just, I mean, that makes it hard to believe there isn't a presence of that sort. I mean,
mhm,
I mean, seriously, like that's more than a miracle. That's it's almost for me like that's proof. Some people it might be a question. For me,
mhm,
that's 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 like that's a whole new take on things. That's a whole new take that I think people should open their minds to. We never know
mhm.
what we can see in a lifetime, and you witness something great, something that people wish they could have witnessed themselves or could have had that miracle be bestowed upon them.
Mhm.
So,
That's right. And I agree. And it's just a matter of being a believer. You know, like I said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and he died for our sins so that we can have a more fruitful and prosperous life. And that's the reason why he came was to teach us these things and these methods. And that's the reason why they documented it. They documented because the simple fact is now you have access to that same knowledge. And and that's why I say my failures. I believe my failures and where I've come short is when I've gotten away from that way of thinking, that way of believing. Then I left myself exposed to things that I shouldn't have put myself in positions I shouldn't put myself into. But then that's comes with, along with the realms of free will. And so, with that being stated, the more I choose to follow this path in this direction, and if it seems like doors are opening, I'm seeing things in a different light and a different understanding. And and people are even hearing it even in the way that I speak and in my conversations these days. And so I feel that I'm blessed because of the simple fact that I've been blessed to see such miracles or blessings. Uh, because, like I said, they were expecting her to be paralyzed, and now she's, matter of fact, we there was a submit art submit. Someone reached out to me. We had just launched my mother's brand. Her brand is Lorna Renee, and it's like I said, we entered into an international showcase. Right, with some of her artworks. It was two of her artworks,
hmm
and this showcase had 12,000 submissions worldwide. They had representatives from 60 different countries, and they had representatives from 400 different cities worldwide. And I'm talking about from France, from Stockholm, from Sweden, um, Italy, just everywhere.
Wow.
And yeah, and I believe out of those 12,000 submissions, I believe 150 of those pieces were selected. And two of my mother's pieces were selected out of the 12,000 submissions. And so, and it's just a blessing to see that even in her art, because she started off in high school. Well, she did a painting in high school in which her painting placed second in the state in an art in a competition. And so, but she really just hadn't focused on her art until 2013. And she had, matter of fact, she had been married already for 30 something years, and she's had five children, and including one with autism. And you've seen two of your sons. And my brother's also in the army, and he deployed. So at one point, my brother and I were deployed at the same base at the same time. So, uh,
Oh.
yes. And so, the stress that had to be on my mother to know that two of her sons are, in a combat zone. So, and I said, Mama, you've been through all this stress and worrying. And I said, I'm going to help you with your business. So I've been helping her launch the business brand of the Lorna Renee. And her website is www.lorna, Lorna, Renee, Rene, fineart.com.
And I'll
And
make sure to put that in the description as well.
okay, great, appreciate it. And I mean, she has excellent work. Every time people see her work, they're like, "Wow, that's amazing." And she's really talented, and she can use different different mediums. She use oil. She creates oil paintings. She creates acrylic paint. She does watercolors. She does
Hmm.
pencil. She does pastel. She does charcoal. Her talents are limitless.
Shout
you
out to
know.
Mama Maxwell for that. Straight up.
Yes. And it's just amazing. Like, I'm really excited seeing how she's thriving with her art, and I'm excited about it. Because I can't paint, I can't draw, I can't draw a stick figure. To be honest with you, I just
Me
don't have
same
the
here.
talent. I don't have that talent. And so, but it's amazing because she can take a blank canvas and just create something, and she does it just like freestyle. I've seen people, they practice doing the same thing over and over again. And no, she just go. She just prays about it and just go. and, and and when you see the end, it's just like, wow. And that's how I look at her work, like, wow. And I just feel like I'm blessed to call her mom. So
That's awesome. Hey, gifts come in different packages.
they do. They do. It's
Sure.
just a matter of having enough faith to nurture and let them grow.
Hey, my mom is a dope singer, so I
Hmm.
always one thing I always said, she's always going to be one of my favorite singers in life. And
Hmm.
so I understand when it comes to, when you see your parent, somebody who raised you and made you, and they have a talent they can excel in.
Hmm.
I always felt that was always important to me because it gave me motivation to pursue singing and doing music and stuff, and you know, using my voice
Hmm.
because my mom was sang for different churches. She's singing the national anthem at different venues. Heck, like at this point, she's singing for Jackson County or Kansas City at most big events. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I need to hear you sing the national anthem. That, that would be
Uh-huh.
just great. That would be super. Like, this is really what happens.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my gosh, Celestine, you were just amazing.
Yeah. I understand. I truly understand. And even when I sell it, like sometimes we sell her art prints. That's what we sell online is her prints. But she does originals, she does restorations. And yes, we sell them the paper prints, and we sell them also gallery style. So you can hang them up, like on your walls, and have them standing on the tables and stuff like that. So we have them on multiple platforms like that. But it's crazy watching her put the originals together, and you can see how she's trying to put it together, spin her mind to make it work. And like I said, it's just really intriguing to me because just see how the end result turns out. So, and I like that. Where my mind frame is more of I'm more strategic in strategy, and I like to study systems, and I'm really enjoy learning systems. I'm one of those guys. So I'm like a nerd when it comes to studying systems. I want to learn everything about the system. And, I really excel at that in the military. So, I think that's where I really learned my love of systems was in the military. Uh,
Hmm.
and that's the reason why I think that's part of the influence why I even got my bachelor's in political science because I started learning different government systems and stuff like that. And especially since I was already change. And I was there during their first elections in Iraq. So, I remember seeing all that there, back in '06 and stuff like that. I was there. And, um, you know, so, so I started to learn systems like that. And I wanted to be a part of those systems. And I want to be able to make a difference by learning the systems and, especially like government systems and our government system and being able to make a difference that influence people for generations long after my days are gone. And I want people to still be able to say that my legacy was Cornelius was able to help as many people, as numerous as the stars in the sky.
And that's beautiful, man. I, I do got one last question, and you can feel comfortable if you want to answer this or not, because
Mm-hmm.
like like being the fact that you were deployed in Iraq, especially in the timeline that you were deployed there,
Mm-hmm.
like were there any difficulties where you felt like you wouldn't make it out of there?
Well, that's the thing because when I first got there, when I first landed, a lot of my buddies thought I was nervous or scared, but I wasn't. I felt like I belonged there at that time.
Mm.
And God reassured me because I was in situations where things would happen and God would show me those things like moments before they happened. And it was his way of reassuring me that he was there and he was protecting me. And because, like I said, I would see these things and I would see these dangerous moments and I would actually live them out in my head. And then seconds later, they would happen. So, like I said, I felt that I belonged there and it was part of my destiny because of that. Because, like I said, I was able to have a premonition of these things.
Hmm. It was almost like it prepared you for the inevitable chance of anything happening.
Correct. And I think it was shaping me for my future. That's why I said that's why I felt like I belonged there and it was part of my destiny. Because how many people can say they went to a combat zone and they saw dangerous situations play out in their head and then seconds later they happen, you know. And so it becomes one of those things that I believe that I'm like Moses. It's like I keep going back to Moses, but I feel like I was like Moses, like I was pre-selected for the routes that I'm going now. So
Hmm.
that was part of my background. Or even like King David. I really love to compare myself to King David, um, because he was a shepherd and he was always watching his sheep. And I always felt like it was my obligation to help my parents with my brother, because he needed the extra help. And I've done some research. I pitched this at UCLA back in 2017. I come to find out that in my research, it takes $250,000 to raise a child, from the age of 0 to 18. But at the
Hmm.
same time, it takes $2 million to raise a child with autism. So that's a gap of 100, but of a $175,000 gap. And
Hmm.
when you look at the numbers, a report I've seen has shown back in 2015 that there was 3 million people with autism, which comes out to like the difference between raising someone with autism and raising a child who doesn't have autism. There's a gap of $6.125 trillion.
Wow.
So yeah, so these people really do need help because that's the gap that it takes to raise them financially.
And that's something you got to be aware of because I met a lot of people over the years who have children who have autism. Some even cases of Asperger's or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's a real thing, and it's something that I'm really realizing now the world's starting to become more aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to take this into account. Like, these young men, women, young children, they need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I commend you for, being there for your family and being there for your brother. Like, because I know it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's never easy. Like, they have different functions. They can only think so much. I mean, there's always different cases. Some very social. Some folks are very social. Some folks aren't. And
Yeah.
some have like actions you got to watch out for. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and this is just from experience of what I've seen. I can
Mm-hmm.
never relate to it to the point where I know everything about it because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And but one thing I know is that you have to be educated when it comes to these like type of topics or like type of surroundings. You got to be aware, and I think that's important that people are aware. And I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, matter of fact, look at your state minimum wage. I know in some states, I know they're trying to raise minimum wage, but you have, I've been down here even at the, there's certain organizations I know that go down here at the Arizona state capitol,
Hmm.
and they're petitioning the minimum wage increase because when you look at it, these guys who are highly functionable, that they say they have autism, have Down syndrome, but they can function, they can work a part-time job, right?
Right.
Well, these guys are being put out of a position where they can't work those jobs because they're already collecting like Social Security. Well, Social Security is like $780 a month. That's it. And if these guys can only make a certain amount of money, or they'll lose that $780 a month. They lose their Social Security benefits, which means they later on down the road that means they lose their Medicaid, Medicare, and stuff like that. So and this is stuff that they really need. They can use
Yes.
$780, and I don't mind paying taxes for $780 to help someone who really needs it, you know.
Yes.
But then if you raise a minimum wage, you're putting these guys in position to say, do I lose my benefits, my $780, or do I work a part-time job and make $1,100? And if they end up losing that job, now they've lost their benefits. So you're putting these people in that type of position. So the minimum wage is important in this, and I tell people to consider this when they consider minimum wage, because you're not considering the people who have autism and Down syndrome and mental retardation who are functionable, who can work a part-time job. They may not be able to work a full-time job, but they're able to work a part-time job and they want to work. They don't like to say, I have a disability. They don't like to say, feel sorry for me. I haven't met a single one. So with them, as a matter of fact, they get frustrated when they feel like they can do something and you try to help them and they feel like they can do it. They get frustrated,
Yeah.
you know? And so why put these people in this position when it comes to the minimum wage? We have to, so if you're trying to increase the state minimum wage, is there a way that we can work it out to where these individuals can still keep their their benefits and still work?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
because now that becomes an issue, especially when you start cutting that budget and taking that away. I mean, let's be honest, these people want to live just like you want to live, like I want to live,
Right now, it
and
seems like it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like it's
mhm,
helping one side, but it's not helping the other. Unfortunately,
correct,
like one
correct.
side is going to get damaged from the results of this. And I agree. Like, I want to see minimum wage go up because the cost of living has gone up. But
Mm-hmm,
I definitely don't also want to take away from those in need as well.
mm-hmm,
There has to be a significant balance.
mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think this needs more discussion.
It does.
It, and this is something. This is why I do this show is because I want anything to be on the table, anything on the menu. That's literally my motto. And if we don't have discussions like this, how are we supposed to change anything? And how are we supposed to change ourselves if we don't have these discussions?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Correct.
and that's something I think we should leave on right there. Like, what can we
Mm-hmm.
do to change the current state that we're in? Because I'm seeing it all over the country. We're seeing a lot of people who are trying to make ends meet, but
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen a lot of people who are struggling to keep their child's mouths fed or keep them, going with medical issues or disabilities or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting overlooked in the process. There has to be a chain of balance. And that's something we need to put more on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like we're focusing the wrong things in the current state of America right now. The wrong thing.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But, like, where we're spending our money and where we're investing in, we're not investing in the people enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all people, too.
Yeah.
And
So
that's important.
it is very important. We have to invest in our people. Matter of fact, we have a government that is designed to be ruled by the people. And and even the Constitution, the first thing it says is we the people. We the people. So it's we the people who has to say so. And and even so, right now I have a petition going on for the transition units theory bill. I'm trying to get support for it. At the moment, I started the petition 2 weeks ago. I'm almost at 700 signatures. It's on change.org, and you can
Ooh,
find it. You can
send
just
me the
type in
link.
my
I'll
name.
sign it.
Okay, definitely. You can find it on change.org, and it's under improve the military transition process by including transition units. Or you just type in my name, Cornelius J. Maxwell, and you can find it there too. And you can see me. It's a picture of me. I was giving the presentation of the concept at the Oklahoma State Capitol back in around Veterans Day 2017. And so I'm wearing a black suit with a purple tie, and I have the background of the Oklahoma State Capitol was inside the building behind me.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
hmm
Well,
so
then, um, where can people find you at, Mr. Maxwell?
okay. Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. It's Cornelius J. Maxwell. They can also find me on Facebook. I have two pages. I have a personal page and also have a motivational speakers page on Facebook. And my motivational speakers page is Mr. Cornelius J. Maxwell. I'm pretty popular on those platforms. And then also for my personal investments, my business ventures, there's my mother's art, which is LornaReneeFineArt.com. And then I'm also a real estate investor. And so we have a website called Anointed. Our company is called Anointed Real Estate Investments LLC. And our website there is anointedrei.com. And of course, like I said, I do public motivational speaking. So you can find me there on Facebook. And as well as I have a speaker's profile with global inspirational speakers.com. And you can find me there as well.
That's what I'm talking about. And you guys need to go check him out. Check out his causes. Check out his mother's artwork. Get to know who the man is that I'm been speaking to today. Seriously, like I can tell you right now, you be treating yourself to something. Well, I might as well just say it, inspirational. I mean, as corny as it sounds, I mean, yes.
Uh-huh. You gotta speak the truth, and that's how you feel, and I truly appreciate it, and I appreciate your audience for listening to me, and I hope they really enjoyed the words that our conversation and the words that we had to say. I hope someone learned something from it, and someone benefits from these words.
Everybody should take this and just open your mind to any endless possibilities. The importance of this show is not to say who's right or who's wrong. The point of the show is to just bring in a discussion, bring in something that may be what you need to hear to change your life, or keep you on the path. I can't even speak English right now. But the fact of the matter is, though, I want to thank you, Mr. Maxwell, for coming on the show. I appreciate you, and I Can't wait to see what you do in the future. Anytime that you need a platform to speak upon anything, you definitely are welcome here on the Delivery Bros.
Great, and thank you, and I appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. I love the support, and I really am humbled by the support that I've been receiving from you, from people who signed the petition, from even the people who support my businesses. It's just so humbling and rewarding to say, hey, this is a concept that I want to build my life around, behind purpose and faith, and people, I'm putting in the work, and people are supporting it financially and with influence. And like I said, it's humbling, it's a blessing, and I'm truly enjoying this ride.
I can tell, man, just the way you speak about it, like it sounds like you're doing it right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It sounds like to me it's a well working machine.
Yes, sir.
So with that, you can find me on social media on Delivery Bros 816, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can find me on Anthony Anthem, under Twitter, under Instagram as well, or Delivery Bros KC on Facebook, or Anthony Anthem on Facebook, or Anthony Anthem Williams on Facebook. And with that, this has been another edition of the Delivery Bros. And this is Anthony Anthem, a.k.a. the Midnight Marauder, a.k.a. Inspired with Fire, a.k.a. Earth, Wind, and Fire, a.k.a. I think we're done. Okay.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolley, inviting you to check out War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolley discuss the news and theories surrounding one of the largest movie franchises in the world. So join us every Wednesday at 8 Eastern as we travel to the galaxy far, far away, right here on Anchor FM and wherever fine podcasts are heard.
You know, when you need CBD, vape juice, or a new mod, go to Vape Scorpion. 10859 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. They are formerly known as East Coast Vapor. They have all your needs, all the equipment, all the juice. And hey, while you're there, sit down, enjoy a beer, bring your own, and just hang out with a bunch of cool people. So guys, if you really need your next vape machine, or maybe you just want to try a locally made juice, make sure you hit up Vape Scorpion. That's 1085 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. Or give a call to 215-464-8273. Oh yeah, and make sure you let them know that Realm of the Mist Entertainment sent you.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which wine he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat?
I'm Will Bacon.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
Hey everyone, this is Dak.
This is Liam.
And this is White People Shit.
We are a bi-weekly podcast.
Whoa. Maybe you're bi-week. I'm straight and strong.
It means twice a week, you douche.
Oh. Yeah, listen to us twice a week. On White People Wednesdays, we talk about gay stuff, zombies, superhero sex positions.
And on Featured Peep Fridays, we interview the Featured Peep of the Week.
Yeah, like a fucking furry.
Just search WPS Podcast and look for the white dude in red pajamas.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
We believe in equal opportunity humor, where all things can be made fun of. So if your feelings get hurt and you're offended, you can always
eat a dick.
He said that she said, how dare you say that? That's offensive. Well, someone's gotta say it. It had to be said with Venus. Catch the live show Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest host weekly. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content, trigger warning. Do you dare say it?
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm here to tell you about Realm of the Mist podcast. Realm of the Mist podcast, we talk about all the great entertainment things from movies, music, books, comic books, and many, many other forms of entertainment, as well as politics, current events, and just general humor and having a good time. If you're looking for a podcast that is right up your alley, look no further than Realm of the Mist podcast here on Anchor.fm or where fine podcasts can be heard.
Hi, this is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Bustleton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are your go-to store. Come by and say hello, and say that the guys from Radiocast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Bustleton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
Three-eyed turtle? Is that alright?
What the fuck is a three-eyed turtle?
Who wants a mustache ride?
Are you tired of the same old podcasts with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm and where quality podcasts are heard.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
Fucking FCC started this shit. It's their fucking fault.